Hugh Glass was born around 1783, likely in Pennsylvania. Little is known about his early life, but by the time he reached adulthood, he had become a frontiersman and fur trapper. This was a time when the fur trade was booming, and rugged individuals like Glass ventured into the wilderness in search of beaver pelts and other valuable commodities. In the early 1820s, the fur trade was one of the most lucrative industries in North America. Recognizing the potential wealth to be amassed from the vast untapped resources of the Western Territories, General William Henry Ashley placed an advertisement in the Missouri Gazette and Public Advertiser in 1822. He was seeking 100 enterprising young men to ascend the Missouri River into the Rocky Mountains. This endeavor would soon be known as Ashley's 100. The recruitment was successful, drawing men from various backgrounds, all lured by the promise of adventure and potential wealth. Among these men was the seasoned frontiersman, Hugh Glass. The expedition set out with high hopes, but the journey up the Missouri River was not for the faint-hearted. The river's unpredictable currents and hidden sandbars made navigation perilous. Several times the group had to portage, carrying their heavy canoes and supplies over land to bypass impassable sections of the river. Additionally, the vast plains and dense forests were home to myriad wildlife, from herds of bison to predators like the grizzly bear. While these animals were a source of food and pelts, they also posed significant threats to the men. Yet it wasn't just the natural elements that posed a danger. The territories were home to various Native American tribes, some of whom viewed the intruders with suspicion and hostility. The Arikara, in particular, were known to be aggressive towards American trappers and traders, resulting in skirmishes and confrontations. These interactions required Ashley's men to be constantly on guard, ready to defend themselves and their precious cargo of furs. The wilderness of the American West was a place of beauty and danger, where the line between life and death was often razor thin. On that fateful day in 1823, as Hugh Glass ventured away from his group to scout for game, he inadvertently stepped into a scenario that epitomized this harsh reality. The dense underbrush and trees of the area near the Grand River concealed many secrets, one of which was a mother grizzly bear and her cubs. The sudden appearance of Glass startled the bear, triggering her protective instincts. With a speed deceptive for her size, she charged at Glass with a terrifying ferocity. The experienced frontiersman had faced many perils, but nothing could have prepared him for the raw power of a grizzly bear defending her young. Using his knife, he managed to fend off and ultimately kill the beast. However, the victory came at a grave cost, as the bear's claws and teeth left Glass's body in a horrific state. When Glass's companions found him, the sight was gruesome. His mangled form, the sheer extent of his injuries, and the still form of the massive bear beside him painted a grim tableau of nature's brutal indifference. The immediate consensus was that Glass's chances of survival were minuscule. In the unforgiving wilderness, a gravely injured man was a liability. Slowing down the entire group could put everyone in danger, especially with the ever-present threat of hostile Native American tribe. Thus, a reward was offered to any willing to stay behind, ensuring that Glass received a proper burial once he succumbed to his wounds. John Fitzgerald and young Jim Bridger, either out of a sense of duty or the allure of the reward, volunteered. However, as days passed and the perceived threat of a Native American attack grew, fear and self-preservation clouded their judgment. Faced with the moral dilemma of loyalty to a dying man versus their own survival, they made a choice that would haunt them for years to come. Someone's belongings in the frontier was more than just theft. It was stripping them of their very means of survival. Glass's rifle was not just a weapon, but also a tool for hunting and protection. By taking it along with his other equipment, Fitzgerald and Bridger didn't just abandon Glass. They left him defenseless in an environment where every advantage counted. When they returned to the main group, they reported Glass's death, a lie that allowed them to integrate back without immediate suspicion. Their decision was driven by a mix of fear, greed, and the harsh pragmatism sometimes required by the wilderness. Yet in the vast expanse of the American West, tales of deeds, both noble and ignoble, had a way of coming to light, and the story of Hugh Glass was far from over. Hugh Glass's ordeal is one of the most astounding tales of human resilience in the annals of frontier history. Left for dead and bereft of any tools or weapons, he found himself in a situation that would have spelled certain doom for most. Yet within Glass burned a fierce determination. Every agonizing inch he moved, every breath he took was fueled not just by a desire to live, but by the fire of revenge. The vast expanse of the American wilderness can be as unforgiving as it is beautiful. For Glass, every day became a testament to his willpower. The pain from his injuries was excruciating, and the haunting loneliness of the wilderness weighed heavily on his mind. But with each passing day, his resolve only grew stronger. He was not just fighting against the elements and wildlife. He was battling his own physical limitations and the creeping shadow of despair. Glass's deep knowledge of the wilderness, honed over years as a trapper and frontiersman, became his most valuable asset. The land, while hostile, also provided sustenance to those who knew where to look. Wild berries became a source of essential nutrients, and roots provided much-needed sustenance. Yet it was not just flora that aided him. Opportunistic predators like wolves, while a potential threat, also presented opportunities. On more than one occasion, Glass came across the remnants of their kills, scavenging the leftover meat to sustain himself. However, nature also presented its challenges. Weather fluctuations, from searing heat to chilling cold, tested his endurance. Water sources were not always readily available, and the constant threat of predators and hostile tribes kept him ever vigilant. One of the most harrowing aspects of Glass's ordeal was dealing with his wounds, which without treatment posed a significant risk of infection and gangrene. In a display of grit and ingenuity, Glass once happened upon a rotting log teeming with maggots. Recognizing an opportunity, he allowed the maggots to feed on the dead tissue of his festering wounds. This natural form of debridement, while undoubtedly painful and revolting, likely saved his life by preventing the spread of gangrene. It's moments like these that highlight not just Glass's will to survive, but also his adaptability and resourcefulness. In an environment where even the smallest mistake could prove fatal, Glass's ability to think on his feet and use every available resource was paramount to his survival. The American West during the 19th century was a mosaic of Native American tribes, each with its distinct culture, traditions, and territories. These tribes had intricate relationships with each other, often marked by alliances or enmities that had persisted for generations. For any outsider, especially a lone, injured man like Hugh Glass, navigating this intricate web of tribal dynamics was a perilous endeavor. While the wilderness itself presented numerous dangers, encounters with Native American tribes added an element of unpredictability. Some tribes viewed white trappers and explorers as intruders, often leading to confrontations. Others were more open to interaction, either out of curiosity, the potential for trade, or shared enemies. One of the most significant interactions Glass had during his arduous journey was with the Sioux tribe. The Sioux, also known as the Dakota, were one of the most powerful tribes of the northern plains. Their reputation was formidable, but like many tribes, they were not a monolithic entity. Different bands of the Sioux had varying attitudes towards outsiders. Fortunately for Glass, the band he encountered saw not an enemy, but a man in dire need. Their decision to help him was rooted in a mix of compassion, curiosity, and perhaps a respect for his evident determination to survive against all odds. They provided him with food, a critical lifeline given his weakened state. But their generosity didn't stop there. Recognizing the vulnerability of his injured body to the elements, they sewed a bear hide onto his back. This act, both practical and symbolic, provided Glass with protection against the elements and potential aggressors. The bear hide served as a testament to his encounter with the grizzly and his resilience in the face of adversity. Glass's interactions with the Native American tribes highlighted the delicate balance required when traversing the tribal territories. A wrong move, a misunderstood gesture, or venturing into a hostile tribe's territory could spell disaster. While the assistance from the Sioux was invaluable, other encounters were fraught with tension. Glass had to rely on his instincts, understanding of tribal cultures, and often sheer luck to ensure safe passage. These interactions underscore the rich tapestry of Native American life during this period and highlight the complexities faced by individuals like Glass, who found themselves at the intersection of wilderness survival and the intricate world of tribal politics and diplomacy. Hugh Glass's miraculous recovery and journey back to civilization were driven by many factors, but chief among them was his thirst for revenge. The betrayal he had suffered at the hands of Fitzgerald and Bridger was not just a personal affront. It was a violation of the unwritten code of the frontier. In a land where trust was a precious commodity, their actions were viewed as the ultimate treachery. Reaching Fort Kiowa marked the end of Glass's initial survival journey, but it was just the beginning of another mission, to seek retribution against those who had wronged him. Word of Glass's survival and his intent quickly spread, adding another layer of legend to his already incredible tale. Jim Bridger, still in his teens, was the first of the two betrayers Glass sought out. When the two men finally came face to face, the tension was palpable. Bridger, likely racked with guilt and fear, awaited Glass's judgment. Yet when Glass looked into the eyes of the young man, he saw not just the betrayer, but also a naive boy who had made a grave mistake under the influence of the older Fitzgerald. Perhaps it was this recognition, or maybe a desire not to snuff out a life that had barely begun, that stayed Glass's hand. Instead of exacting violent revenge, Glass chose to impart a lesson. He made Bridger understand the gravity of his actions and the importance of trust and loyalty in the harsh world they inhabited. Bridger's remorse was evident, and while the scars of betrayal remained, Glass decided that this confrontation would not end in bloodshed. The wilderness of the American West had sharpened Glass's instincts, turning him into an adept tracker. But tracking a man, especially one as wily as Fitzgerald, was a different challenge altogether. Glass's pursuit of Fitzgerald became a game of cat and mouse, with each man drawing on their trapping and survival skills. Rumors and whispers about Fitzgerald's whereabouts reached Glass's ears, guiding him closer and closer and closer to his quarry. Each lead, whether true or false, was a testament to Glass's unwavering determination. The revelation that Fitzgerald had joined the U.S. Army was a significant hurdle for Glass. Fort Atkinson, a military establishment, was not just any place where one could waltz in and demand justice, especially when that justice involved confronting a U.S. soldier. The legal implications were vast. A confrontation could lead to arrest, trial, or even execution. But for Glass, this was a personal mission, and no amount of risk would deter him. When the two finally met, the air was thick with tension. Years of betrayal, anger, and the looming threat of retribution hung between them. Fitzgerald, though a soldier and surrounded by the might of the U.S. military, appeared vulnerable, fully aware that the man standing before him had every reason to end his life. Despite the overwhelming emotions, Glass's response to Fitzgerald was unexpected yet profound. While many would have succumbed to the overpowering desire for revenge, Glass saw the bigger picture. Killing Fitzgerald would not only endanger his own life, but would also perpetuate a cycle of violence and retribution. Instead, Glass chose to reclaim his stolen rifle, a deeply symbolic act. The rifle represented more than just a weapon. It was a piece of Glass's identity, a reminder of his survival and endurance. By taking it back, Glass was not just reclaiming a possession. He was reclaiming a possession. He was reclaiming his narrative, his dignity, and his honor. This act, devoid of physical violence, spoke volumes. It demonstrated that true strength is not always shown through acts of violence, but through restraint, understanding, and moral clarity. In that moment, Glass proved that he was not only a survivor of the wilderness, but also a man of unwavering principle and character. Hugh Glass continued to live as a frontiersman, continuing his adventures in the American West. His incredible story of survival and revenge became legendary among trappers and frontiersmen. Glass's life came to an end in 1833, near the Yellowstone River, where he was reportedly killed in an attack by the Arikara Native American tribe. Today, Hugh Glass's story serves as an inspiration and a testament to the human spirit's resilience. His life has been immortalized in books, films, and folklore.